Welcome to the Logic and Life Coaching Podcast, episode 41.
Everyone wants happiness and success, and we know how to get you there. Come listen to the Leadership Society of Arizona as we teach a proven logic to help you simplify life, overcome challenges, and predict the future. You're listening to the Logic and Life Coaching Podcast. Welcome to the Logic and Life Coaching Podcast. Yes, Dr. Jacob, it's been 41 episodes of this podcast.
I can't even believe it.
Yeah. Like, where'd the time go?
Yes, it's amazing. I'm going to pat myself on the back.
Very good.
Felt very good about that.
Yeah, you look very pleased. So this today, I think we're going to talk about tact. And do you have any idea of how to be tactful? Do you think I can ask you? Do you think you're an expert in answering questions about tact?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think I have a little bit of tact most of the time.
Okay. Well, for me, I often am a little too blunt, is what people say. And so sometimes I just say what I'm thinking, and then it comes out rude to other people. So how do you recommend that I become more tactful about what I say, or is trial and error the only way for me to learn?
Okay, so you're saying that you come off rude or not tactful because you're honest.
Yes, but honesty, I think, is it's not to say that you're being dishonest when you're not being rude. It's to say you're choosing your words a little more wise. So if someone tells you what do you think of my outfit, and I say, well, it looks ugly to me. Well, you could say that, or you could say, oh, well, I prefer other outfits.
I got it.
So there's a distinction between what you say, and both of them are honest. It's just one seems more hurtful. So I'm trying to figure out how I can become better at that, or is just making a mistake over and over the way to do it?
Well, I would think that there's another way other than trial and error. But, it might take a little bit more perception, a little bit more practice, maybe adjusting how you're doing things to be able to learn quicker than having to go through one bad experience after another. But here's my question too, is to be tactful, does it totally rely on your vocabulary? What words do you choose?
I mean, you could just say nothing.
Still dealing with what you're saying. Maybe let's go the opposite way. Well, why do people feel like you aren't tactful? So you tell someone they look ugly. They take offense to that. They think this person's rude. But let me ask you this. Are there times when you say, well, that looks ugly, and they don't take offense?
Probably not. No, that's probably saying that word in specific, I've generally only seen people take it as rude.
Okay, so say you're talking to a really good friend and they really want your honest opinion on something, and they come out and this guy is like, hey, how do I look? And you're like, that's ugly.
Yeah, I mean, it could come off as a joke, but it's I don't know. to me, it sounds like it would be hurtful for the other person to hear. And in the past, if I've said, I don't normally call people ugly, but the if a similar sentiment is portrayed, then I find that the people just get upset. So
Do all people get upset when you say the same things?
no,
And that's really what I'm trying to get at is you could I know people who they want your honest opinion, and if you look at what they're wearing, you say that looks really ugly, they wouldn't take offense to it. They just go get something else. They'd be, oh, thanks. Glad I didn't go out looking ugly like that, you know? But there are many people who, you're right, you tell them they look ugly, they'll be like, how could you even say that? That's so rude.
right,
Because they really didn't want to hear how bad they looked. They really didn't want, they wanted to know that, hey, I can go out and look fine with this, right? They weren't looking for the actual criticism. But when you're talking with others and you're trying to have tact or not be rude, my point in this whole idea is one, there's a couple of things that impact why people think you're rude. One could be your vocabulary. So adjusting your vocabulary can help you not appear to be rude. But another thing is understanding who other people are. That's the second thing, is you need to understand who your audience is. Because some audience, you can say certain things and they take no offense to it. Like, for example, if you're like a big Trump supporter and you're around other people who love Trump, hey, you can say stuff, they don't take offense to it. But if you're around a bunch of people who are not Trump supporters and actually don't like Trump and don't like his policies, well, yeah, mentioning these type of things and how they're amazing or great, people could take real offense to that. Is this making sense?
yes.
Now, there's actually a third thing that depends on if people see you as rude or not, very tactful. And that's how you're looking at life. Right? When you're being honest with people and you're always looking at the negative part of life, more of a chance you're going to offend people, or people, when you say what you honestly appear, will feel you're not very tactful. But if you change the way you look at things and you always see the bright side of things, you always see what looks good in people, you always see the best in things, well, you can actually speak honestly. You don't have to worry about your words, and you'll probably never come off as rude or untactful because you're always saying good things. Does this make sense?
Yes, so what you're saying is that the perspective, if I think of things as being negative or think critically of others or different things that are going on in life, then generally people will think that I'm coming off rude.
Yeah, well, they're more likely to, yes.
Okay.
So there's a couple ways you can approach this. In fact, many of the ways that you can become more tactful or minimize people viewing you as rude might not even deal with you talking, right? It might deal with you learning to look on the bright side of life. It could deal with you just listening to other people and understanding how they view things and how they feel about different things. Like, for example, many women in my life, they want to feel like they look good. So whenever I talk to them about how they look, or they ask me how they look or how an outfit looks, I'm always going to look at the bright side of things. Because I know who they are. I know what they're looking for. I know what they want to hear, right? So I always focus on that with them. But there are people who are more of, they many times they're guys and they're males in my life and they're good friends. And when they ask me stuff, I know they want the honest opinion. So I don't try to sugarcoat it. I just tell them, yeah, that looks really bad. Or you did really bad that time. But I know they're not going to take offense because I know who they are and the relationship that we have. So sometimes it takes a lot of listening. right? It's just listening to people, understanding their viewpoint. And so there's a lot of different things that you can work on other than just trial and error and just shooting your mouth off in conversation and figuring out, oh, that person didn't like what I just said, or, oh yeah, that actually was a good thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what you're saying is that the main issue that I might be having is that my perspective might be negative or critical. And so if I change that perspective to be less negative and less critical, then I could find more tact, more people that are more accepting of whatever I have to say because it's generally positive.
Yes, and it's not the only thing, but when you want to become more tactful, or if you want to be less rude, you have to focus on one of the three things. Either your vocabulary, the words you're using, how you say things, your talking, or it could be your understanding of other people, understanding who people are, what they want to hear, or the third is you focus on the way you're looking at life. And the more you change that, then also when you talk, when you're honest, it will always have good things to say.
That's great.
So
All
those
right.
are the three different areas of focus you can work on. Now, this isn't going to come overnight, so I have some things that you can like do every day or that you can focus on to be able to help you to gain this tactfulness as quickly as possible.
Okay.
Okay. First thing, don't say anything. No, when you're around someone and this is a person you really don't want to offend, maybe like someone's going on the date for a first time, you really don't want to offend someone, try to say very little if you don't know how to say something politely, right? By not saying a lot, it allows you to be able to have less of a chance of you saying something that's really bad. And then it lets you listen more, which most of the time when you go out with someone for the first time, you want to listen more. Or when you go out with people who are really important to you, you want to listen more. It will help you out. Next thing, remember that what you say is the way you feel. So you can focus on different things that you can focus on adjusting your mindset. Gratitude journal. I had to bring that up sometime because it's a proven method to help you look on the bright side of life. If you write 3 things every day that you're grateful for, that you appreciate, that you think is great in your life, that can help. That's something that can help actually in your conversing with people. Because the more that you see only good things, then the more you'll talk about good things with other people, less you'll be rude. Next is understanding natural laws of what's going on in life. The more you read the news, the more you understand, how things operate, the more you're aware of issues. Like for example, there's like so many issues going on that if I didn't have so many groups like the younger group that I associate with and some of the older people that I associate with, there's so many things going on in the world that I might actually not understand. And so keeping up with the news, talking to different people about what's going on in life and society, it lets me be aware of what's really touchy, what's not so touchy, things that are occurring that people are really hyped up about, and allows me to adjust. Okay. And the third, you can practice, but you want to practice with your safe zone. The people that you know, the people who you are less likely to offend. You can practice saying things there, you can practice speaking your mind, and the more you do this, then the more also you can help your vocabulary and how you say things. And so yes, practicing is a great thing. Trial and error with the people who are closest to you that won't take offense is a really good thing you can do.
Okay.
And then the fourth, get a mentor.
Yeah, yeah, that is one thing that has been without fail one of your pieces of advice almost every episode. So, all right. Well, thank you, Dr. Jacob. I appreciate that. I think that's very practical, and it could be something that when I use and if I use those pieces of advice, I can become, I think, a little more tactful and a little more understanding of who people are and what I should say and what I shouldn't say. So, anyway, I appreciate your time. Thank you. And thank you, listeners, for listening and viewers for watching. Have a good day. Thank you for listening to the Logic and Life Coaching Podcast. It would be great if you could take a moment to write us a review. For any questions, comments, or topics that you would like to have addressed on the show, email the team at leadaz.org. To learn more about the Leadership Society of Arizona, visit us at leadaz.org.